chapter 7, we're gonna look at the different forms of business ownership. But before we get into it, look up here at the screen, the word capitalism, free enterprise, private enterprise, free market capitalism. They all mean the same thing. They're just different ways of saying the same thing. But the point I want to make before we go is that everything you see is a result of successful entrepreneurship. Remember, entrepreneurship involves risk-taking. Right? There's no guarantee of a profit. An entrepreneur has to figure out a way to creatively combine the factors of production to produce a good or service that people are actually willing to cast their dollar votes for, spend those hard-earned dollars at a price they're actually willing to pay, and here's the hard part, and still be able to make a profit for the entrepreneur. And it happens every single day. That's what we mean. Everything you see, from your iPads, to your clothing, to the building you're sitting in, to the car you came to campus in, everything that you see is a result of successful entrepreneurship. Capitalism, free enterprise. That's what makes our economy go. What motivated all those entrepreneurs and all those people who work for the entrepreneurs?
The Declaration of Independence.
What motivated them was the fact that they get to keep the fruits of their labor. That's what capitalism is. Resulted in everything we see. All right, let's look at the forms of business ownership. We'll start with sole proprietorships today.
Business.
A proprietor is an owner. Sole means one. So a sole proprietorship is a business firm that is owned by one person. They own it, it's their property. Just like your shoes are your property, a sole proprietor, the business is their property. Most of our country's businesses are sole proprietorships, about 75%, 74%, 3/4. So when we're talking about a sole proprietorship, generally speaking, do you think that's a big business or a small business?
Small.
Usually a small business. It wouldn't have to be, but generally that's what we're talking about, small businesses. That's what makes our country go right there. They're the big job creators. Now, generally, again, there are exceptions, but the sole proprietor, the owner of the business, do you think they work at the business?
No.
Yeah, usually, right? Because there's nobody that cares how this business does as much as the person who owns it. So they work longer hours than anybody. They're the first ones there, the last ones to leave. They're basically always thinking about their small business. There's always something else that needs to be done. It wouldn't have to be that way. I mean, I could own the business and hire Conley to run it for me. All right, now go fishing. And I'm sure there are sole proprietors like that, but generally the sole proprietor, they also run the place. They run the business. So that's what we're talking about. There must be some advantages to having a business like this because there's so many of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at some of the advantages.
Oh, you get to make your own hour.
One advantage, very easy to begin and end your business. Start your business, just put up a sign, open, there you go, you're in business. You wanna get out of business, just take down the sign, there you go, it's over. Unless it's an industry that requires a license from the government or something, it's pretty easy. Very big advantage, very appealing to many entrepreneurs, is it's your business, so you get to make all the business decisions. Right? exactly what are you gonna sell? Which brands? What are you gonna price your product at? How many employees you gonna hire? What are you gonna pay your employees? How much? What days and hours are you gonna be open? You gonna be open on Sundays or not? All these things are up to you because you own the business. You can literally tell everyone else in the world it's none of your business, right? Because it's your business. So you get to make all the decisions. Since it's, excuse me, nobody else's business, you get to keep all the business information a secret. Like, how much did you make last year? None of your business. Or how much did you lose last year? None of your business. What's the recipe to that secret sauce? None of your business. You get to keep it all to yourself, because it's your property. Another advantage that sole proprietorships have is they pay less taxes than corporations, a lower tax rate. Corporations is another form of business ownership we'll get to later in the week. But for now, just know sole proprietors pay less on their profits that their businesses earn than corporations do. However, President Trump drastically cut corporate tax rates, but they're still different, still a little higher than sole proprietors. This has a great appeal to certain personalities, right? You are your own boss. Some people, that doesn't appeal to them. They like having an authority, a boss to report to because they're not self-motivated or whatever. Sole proprietors, they're the boss. They don't have to ask permission to take a day off. It's your business. Just don't ever flip the sign to open today. There you go. Might not be a good business decision, but whose decision is it to make? Yours, you're the boss. You don't have to ask for time off. My wife's a sole proprietor of types. She runs her own business. She's the only employee. Which makes me wonder, when I ask her for a date night, she says she has to check with the boss.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway.
Maybe she's got a secret boyfriend.
This is good news. This is good news for a sole proprietor. All the profits belong to you. It's your business, right? So any money your business makes is your money. You can do whatever you want with it. You can put it in your pocket. You can spend it. You can go on vacation. You can put it in the bank. You can give it away to a charity. You can do whatever you want with it because it's yours. Now, just so you know how many sole proprietors do it, I don't know if I can say most, but many of them, is they will pay themselves a salary. They'll figure out how much they want to personally get out of a business, and then all the profits above that, they might reinvest in the business and try to grow it, make it a bigger business, maybe open up a second store in Naples or whatever. Another advantage, interesting one, as a sole proprietor, you own the business, you're free to share your faith during the course of doing business. Now, if you're working for somebody, are you free to share your faith on the job?
That's you.
It depends who you're working for, right? It depends. Now, at my job, yeah, that's part of what I'm paid to do. But if you're working at Taco Bell at the drive-through window, I don't think you need to be handing out gospel tracts along with the tacos through the window, right? You'll probably get fired. Cause when you're on the job, it's not your time, it's the boss's time. You do what they tell you to do with that time, they're paying for that time, right? A lot of bosses will even frown upon you sharing your faith with your co-workers. Hey, they're the boss. But if you are the owner, you can do that as much as you want. Reminds me of a story. My dad was a sole proprietor, had a trucking company, and when I was in high school, that was always my part-time job. Right? I didn't have to find one, I always had one. That was kinda nice. Worked for my dad's company. But we would have traveling salesmen drop by, cause it was a trucking company, they'd be selling tools or, you know, cleaning supplies for the shop or whatever. And we'd just run them off, cause we knew we didn't wanna buy anything, we didn't want them to be bugging my dad, so we just tell them to leave. Well, my dad saw us doing that one time and got us all together and said, don't do that. Anybody that comes onto our property, you send them to my office. Like, even salesman? Yeah, salesman, send everybody to my office. Well, I found out later what he's doing. He'd sit them down in the chair across from the desk and he'd tell them about Jesus, how to get to heaven. He had a captive audience, right? They're there to sell them something, so they're gonna sit there and listen to this guy share his faith. And I'm not saying it was a very effective way of evangelism, but did he have the right to do that? Yeah, it's his business. And I guess the byproduct of that is that was a way to keep the salesman away, they won't be coming back. Alright, so all you young budding entrepreneurs, before you decide to go start a business and be a sole proprietor, because you see this whole big long list of advantages, just beware, there are also some disadvantages. Ouch, look at this one. This is a big disadvantage. Yes, you get all the profits, but remember, risk taking, are you guaranteed a profit?
No.
No. What if nobody wants to buy what you're selling?
You broke.
Alright, then not only don't you have a profit, but you may actually have losses. Cause you still gotta pay the rent on the building. You still gotta, you know, pay for the inventory that you ordered from whatever store. Whatever brands you're selling, all the stuff that you have for sale, you still gotta pay for all that. And guess who personally has to pay for it? You do. It's not like you can call up your supplier and say, I'm sorry, I can't pay for that inventory because nobody bought it. They're like, sorry, you will pay for it. They don't care whether you sell it or not, they just want their money. So you gotta pay out of your own money. So that's a big disadvantage. Another disadvantage for a sole proprietor is a lack of skilled employees. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to that, but generally speaking, that's how it works. So, just as an example, let's say that I'm gonna quit teaching, I'm going to open a sporting goods store. I'm sick and tired of Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm gonna open up my own.
Me too.
And we're gonna sell baseball equipment and shooting supplies. Hey, it's my store, right? I get to make all the business decisions. Keeper Sporting Goods. I like it. Forget Dick's Sporting Goods, Keeper Sporting Goods. I'm gonna put Dick's out of business. I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna be the sole proprietor. Now, one problem I face right away is lack of skilled employees. Let's say that all of you are applying for a part-time job. You all fill out an application at Dick's Sporting Goods. You all fill out an application at Keeper Sporting Goods. And Dick's Sporting Goods is paying you $15 an hour. They're giving you a little collared shirt that says Dick's Sporting Goods on the side.
That's pretty cool.
They're giving you a week's paid vacation.
Okay.
All right, maybe some stock in their company. Keeper Sporting Goods, I'm offering you $8.50 an hour. I don't have any collared shirts, just wear something nice. And can't give you any paid time off, sorry. Oh, and Dick's Sporting Goods might have a health insurance for you. No, I can't afford that. Well, who are you gonna work for? You're going to work for Dick's, right? Say, sorry, Mr. Kiefer, I like you and everything, but that's a better job. And then what am I stuck with? The rest of you go work for Dick's Sporting, I'm stuck with Purley. Alright? Lack of skilled employees. Now, maybe Conley actually could be a really sharp employee and he just likes the small mom and pop operation. So this isn't always true, but generally speaking, right, that corporations, big businesses have more to offer. So that's a disadvantage for a sole proprietor. I'd be proud to have you, Tom.
Appreciate it.
Another disadvantage is time strains. Like we said, the sole proprietor, not only do they work there, they're the first ones there, the last ones to leave. They work weekends when they're not even open. There's always something to do. You gotta clean, or you gotta do inventory, or you gotta make payroll, or whatever. Make sure the insurance is up to date. Well, that can take its toll. Could affect your health. I think you learned in health class, right? Stress is a major risk factor for all kinds of illnesses. Something as simple as a cold and flu. And more serious illness like heart disease, stress related, right? The marriage, so much for date night. That's not gonna happen. You got a business to run. And the spiritual life. Man, I like to go to that men's Bible study and like to take my family to church on Sunday, but Dick's Sporting Goods open on Sunday. I gotta be at the store. Alright, so I got a business to run. All these things can take their toll. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong decision, I'm just saying it's gonna be a strain. Big disadvantage. Another disadvantage of a sole proprietorship is it's just by its nature, it's unstable. I mean, if I get sick and I'm out for 2 weeks, that's the end of Kiefer Sporting Goods, right? I mean, it can't keep going without me there in a day-to-day operation. And of course, if I die, well, that's the end of Kiefer Sporting Goods, because I owned it. And another big disadvantage is limited financial capital. There's that term capital again. Remember, financial capital is the money that I, as the entrepreneur, I'm gonna go to the bank and borrow it, right? To get my business started. And then I'm gonna use that money to buy the real capital. What's the real capital?
Tools of production.
Tools of production.
Tools of production.
So, I wanna compete with Dick's Sporting Goods, so I wanna start big. I got a great spot picked out. So on the corner of 41 and Colonial. Can't miss it, right? Big, busy intersection. I got the sign, I can envision it, neon sign, I love neon. I want a neon sign, Kiefer Sporting Goods. Wouldn't that be an awesome neon sign? See your name in neon lights. I like we're getting better than that. And I'm gonna have all the big brands, no Nikes. Alright, but Under Armour, alright, and then all the different gun brands. I'm gonna have the best brands, all of them. Put Dick's right out of business. But I figured it out, I need about, I don't know, $500,000 of capital, $500,000. So I go to the bank, I sit down with the loan officer and they say, yeah, we like your business plan, Mr. Kiefer. Unfortunately, your credit, although it's good, we can only give you about $250,000. All right, well, that's all I got, limited financial capital. So I'm not gonna have that nice location on corner of 41 and Colonial, right? I'll be back here and off of Beacon, you know, behind the subway back there somewhere. No drive-by traffic there. Forget that neon sign. It's gonna be a piece of plywood, a paintbrush, Kiefer Sporting Goods. Forget all those big brands, right? Can't care. I can't start big. I gotta start small. Am I putting Dick's Sporting Goods out of business?
No.
No, but they're not even gonna know I'm in town. Alright, that's one of the disadvantages. The old saying, it takes money to make money, and I can't generate enough capital by myself to start a successful business. That's a tough disadvantage. Any questions on Sole proprietors.
Trying to stretch it.
All right, give me a minute to put up the next outline. Another form of business ownership.
I'm trying to stretch it.
Conley, settle down.
Trying to reach for me.
I'm gonna fire you, Conley.
I can't stretch it.
Just got hired, you're gonna get fired already.
I'll make more on unemployment.
Probably, it's only paying
$400 a week though?
All right, another form of business ownership. We did sole proprietorship. Second form of business ownership is known as a general partnership. Definition, a business firm owned by 2 or more people. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Could be 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 40. More than one person own this business. As you can see, a very small percentage. When I made this outline, about 8% of our nation's businesses are formed as partnerships. There are some advantages to partnerships. We'll look at them. Greater management skills. All right, so let's just say, continue my example. Instead of being Kiefer Sporting Goods, I am going to start a partnership. It's going to be the Kiefer Turley Sporting Goods. Be partners, won't you?
Yep.
All right. So me and Conley going into business. All right. We have together greater management skills. We have complementary talents. Now I am a detail-oriented person. Conley is not.
I like guns.
He doesn't follow through on details, paperwork. It's not his thing. But Conley is a people person. Everybody likes Conley.
I can sell.
Nobody likes Mr. Kiefer. I just am rough with people. All right, so if I was the one handling the employees, everybody would quit because I'm grumpy, but everybody loves working for Conley. If I was the one greeting customers when they came in the door, they'd turn around and go to Dick's. But his friendly face, they're all happy to shop at the Kiefer Turley Sporting Goods.
Not me.
But if Conley had to do the payroll, nobody'd ever get their paycheck because he never follows through. If he had to order the inventory, the shelves would be bare, nothing would ever get delivered. If he was in charge of insurance for our company, we wouldn't have insurance. He's just no good at that stuff. But I am, see? So we have complementary talents. This might work. If I went into business by myself, I'd fail. If he went into business by himself, he'd fail. But together, maybe we make this work. And time off. You know, if I'm a sole proprietor, I can't take a week off, but now I'm gonna take a week off and go to Montana and go like elk hunting or something. And while I'm gone, Conley can run it, right? He's one of the owners. When I get back, he can take a week off and I'll run it. But where are you going?
Cancun.
He's going to Cancun. He's gonna sit on the beach, one of them drinks with an umbrella sticking out of it.
With Pat Bev.
Walker knows what it is.
With Pat Bev. Me and Pat Bev and Kawhi.
I like how you're never at a loss for an answer. I ask Cancun everyone. Another advantage is we can keep good employees. Now, just to be fair, while there are there are some businesses like retail stores, like sporting goods stores or whatever, that might be partnerships. Generally, most of the time, the businesses that actually are partnerships are either law firms or accounting firms. They're usually organized as partnerships. So let's say that this is the Jones
Morgan, but Turner and
and Miller, attorneys at law, all right? They are the owners, they're the partners. Jones and Miller own the law firm. The rest of you in here are all lawyers that work there. You're just employees, but they own it. And then along comes Reagan.
Did I?
Yeah.
And she is a young hotshot lawyer, just out of college, extraordinarily talented.
Don't you pretend?
And
Jump up and like.
Jones and Miller, they don't want to lose her. She could go work for any law firm in the country. So in order to keep her,
law firm, dude.
what could they do? They could promote her
No, it's your-
to partner.
Oh.
It's McDonald's.
And then
It's.
it would be the Jones, Miller, Mulligan attorneys
We
at
don't
law.
want her.
What I know?
I see becomes part owner.
Karen.
The rest of you, if you quit,
Karen's law firm.
go work somewhere else, they can replace you, but they can't replace
You can't
Reagan,
replace me.
she's
Hear
too
that?
good.
Can't replace me. That, I'm not listening to that.
That's what I said.
That's what I just said, that's what you said.
I'm in Cancun.
Oh, here's another advantage.
Then you can really go to.
Partnerships, greater financial capital.
Paris, dude.
Now back to my sporting goods example, remember, I wanted to start big, compete with Dick's, but I had limited financial capital as a sole proprietor, I could only borrow $250,000. Well, guess what? My partner Conley can borrow $250,000 also, now we have that $500,000, now we can get that spot on the corner at the big busy intersection, neon sign. By the way, it's Kiefer Turley, it's not Turley Kiefer, let's just keep that straight.
Ah,
no, it's
Turley
Turley
Kiefer.
Kiefer has a
On
better
the
rating.
neon, right?
I think Kiefer Turley does that.
Partnerships are easy to form and operate.
We're gonna start a business, take out $500,000 loan.
Could be as simple as a handshake. Put her here, partner. All right, we're in business.
Just do we get to pay it back?
Here's like the red go to jail.
But Ray, did you hear this guy?
No,
He
we
said,
And then
start a
we'll leave
business.
the
However, there must be some disadvantages to partnerships because how many businesses are organized as partnerships?
8%.
8%. So there must be some serious disadvantages or we'd see more of them, right? There
Yeah.
you go.
$500,000 each.
I have a good credit score.
Oh, this is a big deal. Each partner is liable for all the debts.
We
I don't think you understand.
We'll have that.
We want
Each
that.
individual
Successful.
partner is liable for 100% of the debt.
That doesn't have a.
So if Kiefer Turley Sporting Goods doesn't make money, instead if we lose money, yes, I'm responsible for all the debt. Guess who else is? Conley's
Nah,
responsible
I'm
for
going to
all the
Mexico.
debt. And since I don't personally have any money, the creditors could sue me. They could win, but that don't mean they'll get their money, cause I don't have any. But old Moneybags Turley,
Still in
the lawyers for the creditors know, if they want their money, they're gonna sue Conley, and he has to pay 100% of the debt. And he can argue in court and say, look, no, if you understand, Mr. Kiefer and I, we were gonna split the debts if there was any debts. And they'll say, no, you don't understand. You're responsible for 100% of the debt. What about Mr. Kiefer? What about him? He has to personally pay. Ouch, that's a big disadvantage. It gets worse.
If I could go to
You're
Africa.
responsible for 100% of the debt, even if it was the other partner who obligated the company for the debt. So maybe I put the company in debt. I borrowed the money and I ran off to an island somewhere and I'm never coming back. And I stick him with the debt. He's responsible.
Wow.
Or, here's a scenario. 3 o'clock in the morning, Fort Myers Fire Department calls me up, says, hey, your store's on fire, might wanna come down here. He gets the same phone call. We both show up down there at the store, there it is, all going up in flames. I'm there, I'm looking at it, Conley's there, in his pajamas, his choo-choo train pajamas.
Spider-Man.
We're seeing it all go up in smoke. And Conley, he's an optimist. He says, well, it's a minor setback, but we'll get the insurance money and we'll start over. But who was in charge of the details? That was me, right? And I say, Conley, you remember we talked about we had to cut costs somewhere? I canceled the fire insurance policy.
Out of all things.
So,
stressed
all
right
that
now.
inventory's gone, the ammo's exploding, it's a major fire. Alright, and we have to pay for all that, and we're not getting an insurance check. Actually, we don't have to pay for it, who has to pay for it?
Conley
Even
does.
though I'm the one that canceled the insurance, he's responsible for 100% of the debt.
Colin, you don't have to worry about
That's
that.
how it works.
Will I?
Aaron, you already in debt, don't worry.
Are we still at 72 or did we go up?
Are you in
I'm
here?
every time.
It's 70, dude. She gave the 2 out of nowhere.
Another disadvantage is
plus
uncertain
interest?
life.
Damn.
If Conley or I walk away from the business, well, that's the end of the partnership.
No.
We're gonna do debt and I'm gonna leave you.
I
You
promise
have to
I
pay
won't
for-
leave.
Oh,
I
here's
promise.
another disadvantage, and
promise? I
history
swear
is
I'll lose.
riddled with sad stories of conflicts between business partners. Alright, because it's only a matter of time. Making money in business is always tough. Conley and I will have a conflict over something, over hours, or over pay, or over advertising, or over whatever. Alright, and we were all buddy slapping each other on the back when we started the business, but pretty soon, we're mad at each other. Happens a lot.
Hey. Good old ears.
Put a star by this one just as kind of a teachable moment. It is not a good idea. It is never a good idea for Christians, for believers to enter into a business partnership. Alright, not a good idea. When you think about it, there's really two kinds of people, right? There's believers and unbelievers, Christians and non-Christians. Well, obviously, it would be a bad idea to enter into a business partnership with a non-Christian, assuming you're the believer. Because that would be an example of what the Bible calls unequal yoking. It tells us we should not be unequally yoked. Usually we think of that in terms of marriage. A Christian should not knowingly marry an unsaved person, but it also would apply to a business partnership. Because somebody with the Holy Spirit has a whole different motivation and goal, while profit, obviously you have to make a profit. It's not the number one motivation for a believer. Somebody without the Holy Spirit is gonna have completely different worldviews and motivations. And that's not a good relationship. So I would say it would be wrong, flat out sinful, for a Christian to go into a business partnership with a non-Christian. Okay, how about a Christian with another Christian? Well, I don't think that's a sin. I don't think that would be wrong, but I'm still gonna stay with this. It's still a bad idea. Because the Bible warns us, it doesn't forbid us, but it warns us from becoming surety for another. Surety is a biblical word. It just means obligating yourself for someone else's debt. So even though Conley and I are both believers, it was a bad idea to go into business together, because didn't Conley obligate himself for my debt? Yeah. Now, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything sinful. He just did something that the Bible told him it would not be a good idea. Because now he is responsible for my debt. It's not, again, nothing wrong with it. It's just, it was foolish. Just a foolish thing to do. So, generally, no matter how you look at it, general partnership's not a good idea for believers.
You just take UC thing. Hell not coming.
All right, we're still in partnerships, but moving along from general partnership to a whole different type of partnership is called a limited partnership, and it's just what it sounds like. There's a partner, but the relationship is more limited. So under a limited partnership, the limited partner invests money. So let's say that I want to be Kiefer Sporting Goods. I don't have enough capital to start big. So I'm not going to be a sole proprietor. I don't want to be a general partner. I don't want that. But I want some more money to start bigger. So I think of my old buddy, Moneybags Conley, and I decide to bring him on as a limited partner. He can just invest money in my business. So I'm going to take him out to lunch and propose to him my business plan. I'll take him somewhere nice, and I'll pay. Taco Bell.
Ooh.
And I'll get out a pen and I'll write out on one of their recycled napkins my business plan. Tell them about Kiefer Sporting Goods and what we're gonna sell and the neon sign and the whole thing. And I say, would you like to invest in this? And see, Conley, he's got a pile of money, he's looking to invest it somewhere. He says, I like your plan, I think you can succeed. Yeah, I'll invest 300,000 or whatever. Now I'm in business, right? With what I can borrow plus the money he's invested, I can start big. He's a limited partner, however, which means he can inspect my books. All right, if he asks, Mr. Kiefer, how's the business going? Can I tell Conley none of your business? No, because it is his business. He invested money, didn't he? So he has every right to know whether we're making money or losing money at the business. Right? And why would he invest money? Because he's gonna get the share of the profit. Now, how much, that's agreed upon in a contract. Maybe he gets 50% or 20% of the profit, whatever it is. All right, but that's why he invested the money, so he can get a return on that. It's capital for me to get my business going so I can make a profit, but then I'm gonna share that profit with him, thanking him for his investment. However, Conley does not get to make any business decisions, because it really isn't his business. It's mine. He's just an investor. He's a limited partner. Here's the limitations. He doesn't say, Mr. Kiefer, you need to be open on Sundays. No, Conley, take my family to church on Sundays. Mr. Kiefer, you need to be selling snow skis. I love snow skiing. Like Conley, we live in South Florida. We're not gonna open a ski shop. All right, he doesn't get to make any of those decisions. No matter what he says, he's a limited partner. Gabby?
So is that like what the people on Shark Tank do? They're limited partnerships? Cause they like
They're
invest
investors,
money?
and it could be a limited partnership, in a way, yep.
Cause you always see like,
It might not be technically a limited partnership, but they are investors.
cause like when they always do like checkup videos on people, they'll show this stuff in like stores and it'll
Yep.
be like
They have a
partnered
right
by
to know,
Shark
don't they?
Tank people.
It's their money tied up in there. I haven't watched the show, but I know what it's
I
about.
bought a Tesla stock.
Jackson.
Yeah, because they split it every 2 weeks.
Now, here's the good news for Conley, or the limited partner, Conley in our example, is he can only lose the money he invested. So if Kiefer Sporting Goods goes broke, goes out of business, and I'm $2 million in debt, does Conley have to pay the $2 million? No. If it was a general partnership, he'd be responsible for the whole $2 million, but it's a limited partnership. He's not responsible for any of the debt. Now, he'll never get the $300,000 he invested, that's gone, he'll never see his money. But at least he doesn't have to pay the debts. That's up to me, not his problem.
I'm so confused.
So because he did not become surety for another, in other words, since he did not obligate himself for my debt, this is an acceptable type of business for a Christian to enter into. Now, in the event that my business fails and Conley lost his initial investment of $300,000, he learned a hard, expensive lesson, but he did not obligate himself for my debt, so that makes it more acceptable biblically. Any questions on the differences between general partnerships and limited partnerships?
So for a general partnership, it's not that like it's always the other person, it's just whoever has the money pays for it?
That's who the creditors are gonna go after.
Okay.
They could legally go after either one.
Would there be any circumstances they would go after the limited partnership?
They can't, he'd be insulated, he's just like, not my problem. He would win if they tried to do that.
That's dumb.
All right, the assignment on the board is the same one, no new assignment.